I grew up in Africa and always believed that crocodiles and people don't mix. I thought crocs to be cold, instinctive creatures. But now I believe that this image is far from the truth. When you witness the relationship between this crocodile and this man, it will challenge everything you think you know about crocodiles and the natural world itself. Jocelyn Aguera, she could introduce me to Cheeto. I caught a taxi across the width of Costa Rica to the town of Siquires, where I managed to track down Jocelyn Aguero. She'd been attacked by a crocodile and saved out of its jaws by Cheeto.
Luego cuando yo ya sentí que ya yo no aguantaba más, entonces yo dije que ya que sea la mano de Dios. Y después me sacó, Chito estaba ahí pescando. Y él me sacó, se dio un bombazo y seguramente al sentir que...
Jocelyn led me to where Cheeto lived. I was really excited to finally meet Cheeto. But he hardly came across as the Tarzan that he'd been made out to be. He was a far more gentle, calmer person. I'd been expecting a tougher, macho guy. Cheeto led me down to the water to meet the crocodile he calls Pocho. I felt a bit nervous, but I could immediately sense that Cheeto was not afraid. The crocodile seemed to be responding to his voice. I just can't imagine him actually getting into the water with this animal.
You see the face, the eyes?
Exactly. Looking.
See it? When you see the eyes
open,
ugly, it's a little something happens, but he's really happy with this. The eyes.
Pocho is a monster, at least 16 foot long, with a massive girth. How had Cheeto penetrated the forbidden boundary and joined a giant crocodile in the water? It seemed impossible, but here it was, in front of me. His life story is like something out of a fantasy book, not unlike Tarzan. It all started 23 years ago, when Cheeto found a crocodile that had been shot by a farmer for attacking his livestock. With incredible and almost inhuman patience, Cheeto nurtured this crocodile back to life, sometimes chewing fish in order to encourage the crocodile to eat. It took him 3 years to get the crocodile back to full health, and after that, because it grew so quickly, he named it Pocho, which means a big, strong, handsome guy. He claimed that during this period of care and recuperation, a really strong bond started to develop between the two of them, something which my research had told me was highly unlikely.
I think he don't want to make me never hurt me, because we have 20 years together, and maybe we would have a problem in 3 years, 2 years, and now it's 20 years and nothing.
As far as I know, no human has ever swum and touched a huge crocodile in the water and not been attacked. What Pocho is allowing has probably never been seen before in the history of the human-animal world. Yeah, meeting cheetah is just like, my strongest impression was almost, it's like meeting a kind of modern day shaman. He clearly has a very, very strong affinity with nature, and he spent a huge amount of time in nature as well. And that passion, that commitment is very, very evident.
Yo me entrego totalmente a Pocho. El sentimiento mío.
I give myself totally to Pocho. The feeling I have is like when I go to sleep. I feel very calm. When the night comes, I feel at peace in the natural world with Pocho. Full moon is the height of our coming together. It's when crocodiles are most alert because all the other animals are very active. It's the hunting time. His worst time is when it thunders. He gets out of the water. I think he knows the lightning is dangerous. Our games we taught each other started at night. The death roll other crocs used to rip chunks of meat from prey became one of our first games. It was then I realized he could learn and remember. Pocho is so clever. This time at night, for me, it's like being with God.
Cheetah just seems to have crossed what I think many people would just see as an impossible boundary. Crocodiles are really aggressive at night. It's when they hunt. And yet he somehow seems to have turned this to his advantage and actually used it to build intimacy with this animal. I'm just getting such a strong sense that they are actually capable of emotion more than we would have, ever imagined. Once Pocho was big and healthy again, Cheetah released him into a nearby river system. Waking up the next morning, Cheetah couldn't believe his eyes. There was Pocho, sleeping on his veranda. After that, he tried releasing him a few times again, but the same thing happened. And so Pocho became part of the family, his daughter Shakira growing up around this huge animal.
A mí me gustaría ir a la laguna y jugar con Pocho, pero mis papás no me dejan.
When you look at this, it's very easy to quite quickly take it for granted. And I don't know of anyone else who has as intimate a relationship as Cheetah does with the reptile. But in the research that I've done, there have been people who've had relationships with reptiles for, up to 10 years, and everything's fine, and all of a sudden they get eaten. And I think you've just got to realize that every time he gets into the water, he's running a significant risk.
Relax, man, relax, sleep a little bit, relax, enjoy. Cuando yo estoy hablando con la gente,
when I'm alone with Pocho, I feel like an animal. I feel crocodile. Often I think back to his injury, how we had to heal it. I feel completely connected to Pocho. I am part of the nature of this animal. Every animal needs stimulation. I gave him food when he was dying, but he needed more. He needed my love. In the beginning, I wasn't sure of how close I could get. It took me a while to understand the signs he now gives me. I slowly started to touch him, and he never tried to bite me. Once he recovered his strength, I was expecting him to go back to the wild. He was free to go, but he decided to stay. That's when the trust grew stronger, and I began to move closer to him. Sometimes he will go for me with his mouth open. But just before he bit me, he will stop and close his mouth. I tried to hold him when he began to swim, so that he will respect my strength. At first, I was scared when he got crazy and threw me off. Then I learned to read his moves. So much of his feelings is in his eyes. When Pocho is anxious, you can see a lot of blinking in his eyes. His eyes says plenty. When he's happy, his eyes are normal. I can tell this because I look at his eyes every day. He loves the touch. He loves me. He also watches my eyes. I communicate through my eyes that I don't want to hurt him.
Pocho no me ve a mí hace rato, entonces yo vengo y tal vez vine de San José. Cuando vine con ellos vengo y me siento con él ahí y al rato me descanso un rato ahí. El calor de él, yo me siento tranquilo y me acuesto ahí me ruleo un rato con él.
Now he comes to me. He loves the touch. But he also likes to touch me with his body. Very gently when he's happy and with strength when he's agitated. We have this routine of movements we have created over the years, like two dancers. We are in a dance. If I forget one of the moves, he doesn't like it. He won't cooperate. That's when I have to go back and do the movement again. Then he does it much better and he's happy again. I never push him. I only try things twice. If he doesn't do it, I leave him. You can't push a 1,000-pound animal around.
When you first see this, you immediately think it's impossible. And then, of course, you start to, as a human being, you try and think of some kind of rational explanation for it. And the first thing that comes to mind, of course, is that it's a feeding dependency. But there are periods of time where he doesn't feed the animal for up to 3 weeks, and yet the animal still comes to him. It still seems to seek out that connection and that interaction with him.
When I give him food, I hit him with the fish. So he associates that feeling with biting and eating. When I touch him with my hand, I touch him gently, so that he knows it isn't food and won't bite me. He gets excited when I go in the water. He loves the touch. He loves to play. If I had to go away for a few days, he gets agitated. He waits for me. He doesn't bite me because he respects me.
And now I'm starting to wonder if Pocho would relate to all people like he does to Cheeto. And there's only one way to find out. So Cheeto, you sure that I can get in and start to get close?
Yes, we worked a little bit this morning and the crocodile kind of feel you already.
Okay.
So don't afraid.
Okay.
Trust me, okay? I'm sure the crocodile.
Okay.
When I say, you stop a little bit. But don't run away.
Yeah.
Because if you run away, the guy will think you're afraid and he want to follow you.
Okay.
So you feel strong and looking face every time.
Okay.
And a very nice smile.
The first time I got into the water with Cheeto and Pocho, I was really relying on Cheeto to put himself between me and the crocodile at all times and minimize the risk of an attack. The only other person that got into the water with them had his ribs broken when the animal just lashed out with its tail. I need to be really careful. I'm starting to get a richer picture of the language of the crocodile. When they move their eyes rapidly and they arch their backs, it generally means they're feeling very aggressive or threatened. They're also incredibly sensitive to any form of sound or vibration, and they can pick that up over very large distances. So I need to be very conscious of what I'm doing when I'm in the water. Cheetah also seems to think that they're incredibly sensitive to smell, and they build up associations with various things in the environment through smell, through pheromones. But it got quite hairy at times where I could sense that crocodile wanting to come in, and I just had to trust his ability to kind of read and manage the situation.
Well, I think everything in the natural life move and have something they can understand. But you have to have the direct communication, the chemic. So you want to have it, and you do it with heart, you feel it. If you don't do something good, you don't want to have nothing. So, Pocho, no, tranquilo, Pocho, Pocho. Wow.
Tomorrow I've decided to put the camera down and get into the water with the animal without Cheetah creating a barrier between me and that animal. I've learned the easy things. I've learned the cues, the arching of the back, the rapid eye movement, the things that you can learn from distant observation. But the critical thing that I need to put into practice and experience is actually trying to influence that animal through my own mental state. And the only way to do that is to actually get in the water and get close to the animal. Yeah, Pocho, Pocho, Pocho. So, Cheetah, can the crocodile feel your emotion? I mean, is that important?
Very important. That's the way you feel it. The way it's shaking you, so they can feel. Very special guy. The rain is not so good, but this guy good, okay? So you only trust me.
Yeah,
feel.
I trust you.
I need you take off your shirt, you know, because Poncho maybe...
Cheetah wanted me to take my shirt off because the croc is used to him in the water without his shirt. When Cheetah's working with Pocho, he's constantly talking to him, as if he's talking to a human. And what's more important than the words themselves is the actual way they're spoken. I'm really just trying to control my fear. Yeah, I think the risks are, I mean, we weighed up the risks, and the risks are fine. As I approached the crocodile and held its tail from behind, he immediately reacted and swam off and started to display very aggressive behavior. He was clearly not happy with my presence in the water. His arched tail in crocodile language indicated he was agitated. And this is interesting because it's clearly the relationship is between the crocodile and Cheetah. That's where the trust lies. So that's the basis of this entire relationship. I'd been rejected by this crocodile, and I was leaving the next day. I just wanted one more chance to see if I could create some kind of connection. Before I met Cheetah, I would never have considered engaging a 16-foot male crocodile on the surface. As that animal approaches me, I'm constantly running through my mind what Cheetah has taught me. The most critical thing is to just be extremely confident, because without doubt, these animals can pick up if you're scared. As Pocho disengaged and swam past, I reached out and touched the dragon. Pocho seemed calm, not reacting to the touch. But then as he came round to circle me again, something changed. He hissed, and I felt really threatened. You feel vulnerable. I mean, those teeth coming towards you, it's pretty, you know, it's pretty scary. But in my mind, I already had a positive outcome.
Las relaciones con animales es muy importante para todo el mundo, que ellos puedan.
The relationship with animals is very important for all the world. People don't understand, but people like you who are close to nature get it fast. Other people think I'm crazy, and this is why it's so important for you to be here, because that way you can tell the world about my relationship and what it means for me as a human to have this friendship with Pocho.
Chito's relationship with this ancient creature is based on over 20 years of commitment and love. Chito has taught me that humans have the potential to form deep bonds with crocodiles. This changes my whole perception of what I once believed to be a cold, instinctive animal. I still have so many questions, but I leave behind perhaps the greatest mystery I have ever seen, with the knowledge that the primal connection I felt with a crocodile in those caves in Africa was true. And that's where I thought the story ended. Then a few months later, I heard tragic news from Costa Rica. Pocho the crocodile had suddenly died of natural causes, leaving Chito and family distraught. And I wondered in my sadness if the world would ever see a man and a crocodile in love again.